Welcome everyone out there in Canvas fan land, all of our listeners and viewers across a number of platforms today: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. I am making a formal apology before we get started. I am not in my usual studio setup. We're doing some offsite planning for a lot of the things that we plan to do for 2022, and I'm in a different location. So the sound may be a little different. The views will obviously be different as I am not turning my camera on as I'm huddled in the corner of a auditorium at this point. But super excited. We obviously modify and bring all of the goodness that Joe Bernard has to offer today. We are going to be talking Canvas for the foreign language classroom, and he has an excellent presentation. Joe is one of our fantastic learning specialists on the training team that has created a presentation to talk specifically about Canvas for the foreign language classroom. So if you have foreign language teachers in your district or you teach foreign language, you are in the right place. I'm sure a lot of the stuff he will talk about today will be applicable in any type of Canvas environment, but know that the focus today will be foreign language. Also, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, please make sure to use the chat function or the comment function inside the platform, and we'll be rolling. Joe, I'm so excited to welcome you onto the live stream. Thank you so much for giving us your expertise and wisdom today to talk all things Canvas for foreign language. If at all possible, like, share, subscribe, retweet, do all the things as viewers. Now Joe gets to take it away. If you have any comments, we'll make sure to keep those till the end, but please put those in so that we can answer them when that session is over. Thanks again, Joe, for joining us.
Yeah, no, thank you, Eddie. I really appreciate it. And I want to reiterate what Eddie said. Welcome to everybody who is on the stream today. Really appreciate you tuning in. I understand that this time of year is rather hectic for everybody involved, whether you're at the K-12 or higher ed levels. So I appreciate you taking the time to stop on over and take a look at some of the material that we have for you today. Just wanted to do a quick introduction here to myself, just because I find it's a lot easier to connect to what we're doing. Normally I say connect a face to a name, but you can see my face here, but you can also see it on screen. Yeah, my name is Joe Bernard. Like Eddie said, I am a proud partner and team member on the training team as a learning specialist. I've worked in both the K-12 and higher ed environments, respectively. I was primarily an English and humanities instructor for about 8 of those years before I transitioned over to faculty development and Canvas admin responsibilities for the last 3 years before I pivoted over to Instructure. So I've had the privilege of serving a number of different stakeholder groups. And I do know that something that I have picked up on, and this is going to launch into the 3 points that we're going to talk about today. Foreign language instruction within not just the face-to-face classroom, but the hybrid and online environments have, just like all of the other subjects, have become a bit challenging, right? Especially in the last year and a half or so, we've encountered a lot of different struggles. And as somebody that has had the privilege of not only learning a couple of languages, I've also had the privilege of teaching a foreign language myself in Japanese. And so something that I know I've come into contact with is, how do you translate a lot of what you do or did in that face-to-face environment to a hybrid or online environment? Now, some of you might be saying, well, Joe, I am in the classroom right now. I've got my students. That's awesome. A lot of what, if not all of what we'll be covering today, will be applicable to your situation. Really, what we want to do today is get a sense of how to best utilize Canvas regardless of what kind of environment you're in, because I know many of you have gone from face-to-face to hybrid to online to face-to-face, etc., right? You've gone through a lot of different transitions. And so my goal today is to try and make sure that I give you some tools, some tips on how to maintain that level of rigor and instructional capability that I know you have. So really quickly, I just wanted to go through the 3 components that we're going to be going over today. We're going to look at practicing, comprehending, and immersion. And so there are a number of different nuances that go with practice, comprehension, and immersion that I know if you're a foreign language instructor or if you've interfaced with foreign language instructors before, you know very well that there are a tremendous amount of nuances that go into not just these three components, but I'm sure that you or your foreign language instructor counterparts can name a tremendous amount in terms of the other components that can go into not just these components themselves, but can also be their separate domains. So not trying to redefine instruction today, just trying to go over some of those major components that foreign language instructors face within the classroom. And hopefully we can take a look today at a couple of tools that we can utilize to make sure that your foreign language instruction is going to be at its peak all the time. So the first item that I wanted to cover is going to be practice. Now, practicing, as you know, is really difficult when it comes to making sure that students are actually practicing, but also making sure that they are participating in practice, that practice is being moderated, and that practice is being repeated, right? And there's a temptation or sort of I would say, potential for there to be a lapse in any one of those three environments. What I wanted to do is I wanted to just show you a quick tool that you can utilize to make sure that participation, moderation, and repetition are occurring in your foreign language classroom, and that's going to be a video-based discussion. So let's go ahead and exit out of these slides really quickly, and I'm just going to jump right into this discussion here, okay? Now, keep in mind that this video-based discussion is going to have a few key elements that I wanted to highlight. The first is, and you might be thinking, well, yeah, that's pretty obvious, but this is going to be a graded discussion, right? Because we want to make sure that we're communicating to our students that this is something that we want to make sure that they are accountable for. Keep in mind that this idea of a video-based discussion does not have to be graded, right? So if you're saying, well, Joe, hold on a minute, I want to be able to have students practice within a discussion format without the the grading expectation there. Not a problem. You could always create an ungraded discussion as well. And if you take a look here, there are a couple of things I wanted to point out about this discussion prompt for this video discussion. You'll notice that I do have some instructions there that are going to revolve around making sure that students refer back to any modular content that they can utilize. That's something else that we'll talk about here briefly. I set out the expectations for what that video should be. So you'll notice that I have 1 to 3 minutes for an introductory video. And then I also do have some elements that I do want within the video as well. In this particular case, we're talking about introducing yourself, right? So we do have our customary greeting phrases, name and preferred name, so on and so forth. I also do have some other expectations in terms of replying to one of their classmates with a video response. So keeping in mind that this entire tool is going to revolve around the fact that students are going to be submitting videos to this particular discussion. Now, one of the great things about a video-based discussion is not only do students get to post their content and they can reply to each other's content, but you can reply to content as well. A couple of other things that I wanted to point out. I do have a linked, or a link here rather, to the instructions on how to upload a video to the discussion board, simply because what can tend to happen, especially within this foreign language environment, students are already trying to think in 2 languages at once. And so providing them those resources to be able to help them upload that video would be really useful, especially because if you're doing some kind of introductory discussion, regardless of language, you're more than likely at the first couple of weeks or maybe even the first month of instruction. You want to make sure that you scaffold for students so that way they can have those resources available to them. Another resource that I do encourage you to attach to the video-based discussion within that foreign language environment is a rubric. Okay? One of the things that students can get hung up on, at least in my experience in that foreign language classroom, is what exactly are you looking for as an instructor? And again, that's not necessarily going to be limited to just the foreign language classroom. But as you know, especially if you are a foreign language teacher or you have been one in the past, there are a lot of different layers barriers to communicating within that foreign language. And so in order to go ahead and view that rubric, in the upper right hand corner of that discussion, you'll want to go ahead and click on the options menu. And you'll want to go ahead and then click on show rubric. Okay. Now, from here, thankfully, there's a nice little way to go ahead and move that rubric along. And you'll be able then to go ahead and create that rubric from the from this discussion screen. Keep in mind, I already created my rubric, but when you are going ahead to create your own rubric, you'll notice that when you click on that options menu and you see show rubric, you won't see anything else other than the ability to go ahead and create a rubric. There'll be sort of a rubric template for you to use. You'll notice here that we do have criteria that are going to communicate clear expectations to your students to make sure that everything is the way that you would like them to present. So, for example, within this content of introductory video criteria, content of introductory video included all elements in the discussion prompt, and we name what those elements are. And then we have all the different various ratings and what those ratings essentially equate to in terms of performance. And so just like with any rubric that you're creating, again, regardless of whether you are teaching Spanish, Italian, German, you'll want to make sure that you are communicating clearly not just what students are being evaluated on, but what the different levels of achievement are within that particular rubric and by extension, the assignment.
Hey, Joe,
Yeah,
real
go ahead.
quick, I'm just jumping in. I found a better spot.
Okay.
So I think it sounds a little bit better, might look a little better. But Hacienda La Puerta Unified School District, the technology, those folks are fantastic. Had a chance to meet with them, but they didn't make a comment on YouTube about how they absolutely love the rubric. Is there any way to moderate those videos before they become public? Some of the videos that we were talking about before.
Oh, that's a fantastic question. So, in terms of moderating videos, there isn't a feature yet for that. However, what you do have the opportunity to do, and let me go ahead and just demonstrate that here. If I go ahead and scroll down, we'll see here. We'll see here that are very two different students. You'll see here that you can actually play the video here. And when you go ahead and play the video when students post it and you go, okay, no, no, not good. There's that options menu here in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. You could always choose to delete that video and then send a message to that student saying, hey, you really need to make sure that you repost that video. So that is a great question. That is something that I would actually recommend that you submit as a feature request to our community, because I do believe that would be an excellent way to make sure that you can have a bit of a vetting process for those videos. But at the moment, no. I do know that there could be another option for you. You could set your course notifications to be notified immediately whenever a student posts a video, and that way
Right.
you can go ahead, access that video, and then you can choose to watch it, and then you can choose to delete it and go from there.
Yeah, I think so many times, as educators, we worry a little bit about giving up some control on, especially this specific situation where you're allowing students to record videos and put them inside your platform. But always know that these are tied to a Canvas account. Really hard to, unless you have a public Canvas course, probably really hard to do something rogue here that we would never find out who this inappropriate student might have been, right? There would be repercussions and discipline probably attached to whatever comes out. But we always teach our kids to be good digital citizens, and knowing that their name is attached to something inside a platform that can be screenshotted and shown and saved later would definitely deter me as a student to not do those types of things. But yeah, that is a fantastic feature request. As always, you can submit feature requests. Can you show them how to do that really quick, Joe? And then I'll let you continue on the presentation.
Yeah, of course. And so in your instance, you're going to notice a nice little button there. It might be customized based on your district or institution. It's going to always, however, be in the lower left-hand corner of your global navigation menu. You can go ahead and click on that, and you'll get to our help menu. And from there, you could always click on submit a feature idea. And from here, what you can do is you can go ahead and suggest an idea. And I do recommend that you go ahead and suggest that idea, because I do really think that is a fantastic idea, especially for our foreign language instructors here. Okay. So, Eddie, did you want me to put this as a link in the chat, or is that something you can do?
Yeah, that's something I can do. Not
Okay.
an issue. I will get it in there so that those folks can see that. They're very appreciative. We have a thank you so much from our
Of
friends at
course.
Platzi
Yeah, no,
English Center.
absolutely. So, from here, let's just talk briefly about comprehension and immersion. Now, we're going to hit on immersion at the end because immersion kind of ties everything together. But we've taken a look at how your students can go ahead and practice. How about comprehension, right? Comprehension is one of those elements that can be really difficult to even gauge within a traditional face to face environment. However, you can certainly structure your Canvas course to make sure that students are not only getting the information that they need to not just acquire, but retain and practice those and apply as well. Those foreign language concepts. There are a couple of ways that you can create really immersive pages and or assignment types. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple of examples here. One of a page and one of an assignment that encourages students to hopefully practice and comprehend and retain a lot of the foreign, if not hopefully all, of the foreign language concepts that you're teaching. So at the very top here, what we're going to look at is a page, okay? So what you'll want to do is if you want to go ahead and create a page with a lot of really rich media content, you can insert a variety of content items that can include a media, video or audio upload. That can include, depending on the integrations you have, you can integrate Google Slides or Docs. You can integrate Office 365 Docs or PowerPoints. You can certainly embed videos if that's something that you'd like to do within pages. A lot of really good, rich opportunities for you. So in this case here, we have meeting someone for the first time. And again, the language that I'm most familiar with and the one that I have taught is Japanese, right? So I've chosen that as my example. Again, keep in mind, completely irregardless of the language you teach, the principles here are the same. So you'll see here that in terms of this particular page, you'll notice that there isn't very much text, right? Now, having text on a page is not a bad thing, okay? In fact, there are a lot of our foreign language instructors who have text on their page. In fact, some of their pages are almost text. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially in this age of electronic delivery of course content, you'll want to make sure that you try and have something that's a little bit more interactive. And so we do have here a Google Slides presentation. And students are able to go ahead and click on these little arrows here, and they're able to go ahead and actually view the course content. All right. And so again, you can choose Google Slides, Docs, Office, anything really that your district or institution has integrated that allows you to embed these options. You can absolutely utilize those tools, or you can utilize the tools native within Canvas. You can upload a document. You can certainly link to other resources, and all of those elements are going to be found on the rich content editor bar here. And then down below here, we do have a video that has been embedded as well. We also do have some instructions here up above. Something that I do encourage you to do is, especially again in a foreign language environment, we really want to try and make sure that students are directed to those rich content items and told what to do with them, right? I find that in my own teaching practice, something that I did very early on when I was teaching was I would put content items on a page, especially when I first started using Canvas, but I wouldn't tell my students what to do with them, right? And so they'd stare at the screen, they go, Mr. Bernard, what? Okay, so I watched a video, so what, right? And so at least here we have directions, right? And the purpose and what to do with not just this presentation, but this video as well. Another item that you can go ahead and utilize is the assignment, right? Now you'll notice within this particular assignment, we have instructions with a video in it, something that I'm seeing a lot more of within the foreign language classroom, and by extension, all classrooms that I have interacted with here recently, is the idea of having videos or some of those content items that we just took a look at briefly on a page within an assignment instruction, within assignment instructions rather, as well. So you'll see here are instructions. Of course, this is all revolving around introductory phrases. You'll see here the directions are to watch the video below, and students could go ahead and submit the following through a media recording or a link to a Google Doc. Okay, and so we see here that students would be then required to translate dialogue into not just the native language that they speak, but also the language being instructed. And we also do have a couple of vocabulary exercises. Really quickly, let me just jump into student view so that you could take a look at this from the student's perspective. So here's what students are going to see, right? They're going to see the idea here. Let me go ahead. There we go. And they'll see not just the due date, but points and what they can submit. And they'll be able to go ahead, and if they click on website URL, they can go ahead and submit a URL of what they would like to submit via Google Doc, again, slides, that kind of thing. And they can also submit via the media button as well. Just a note about this, if you do have Studio, I do encourage you to have students submit via Studio as well. Studio is a really intuitive platform that does allow students to be able to store their collection of videos, and it really allows them to be able to have a bit more interactivity in the video creation process. I do encourage you, again, if you do have Studio, I encourage you to have your students upload through Studio. It's a little bit easier to manage and a little bit more intuitive. However, the media, record upload media function is completely a great option as well. And I will say for our higher ed admins, instructors who might be on the call, if you are using another product for videos, you could easily have a submission type here utilizing that particular platform that you are utilizing, because I have had some questions about other products as well. And yeah, feel free to have students submit any kind of media recording that relates to the foreign language within this particular setting as well. So let me go ahead, and I'm just going to quickly change my camera angle here. We're going to go ahead and leave student view. And then really quickly, I wanted to just tie all this together here by talking a bit about immersion. And I feel like immersion is one of those things that does tend to get a little overlooked within the foreign language classroom, online especially, simply because immersion is something that can be a bit difficult for students to get used to at first. But what I've found teaching in the foreign language classroom is that when you get students immersed in that foreign language, even if they are complete novices, they've never seen the language before, getting them in the habit of seeing different phrases, different instructions, even if it is a language that doesn't necessarily have elements of the Romance languages that are very commonly found within the middle and high school and even the higher educational curricula, respectively. Just even having, as you can see here on this homepage, just having students being exposed to those phrases and translating those phrases for them as you're going through content can be really helpful. Okay. I also wanted to show you as well, you can do this not just on the homepage by creating a custom page. You can also do this within course modules. So you'll see here that I'm not trying to overwhelm my students with a vast amount of that foreign language, but I'm at least trying to get them used to seeing those foreign language items, even in the module title bars. I'll scroll down here really quickly, and you'll see here that in this resource module, I have a bit more, right, in terms of the foreign language being instructed. And that's simply because, again, I want students to become immersed within the language. And you can accomplish this a couple of ways in terms of immersion. If you are using Windows, there is something called the Microsoft Local Experience Pack. And if you are using Apple, there's the language input controls. Either one of those opportunities there, or tools rather, you can utilize to type out that foreign language. Keep in mind that you can also type the foreign language in the rich content editor as well. And so feel free to take advantage of that specific functionality. So that's going to be some of our quick hitters today in terms of the foreign language classroom. We took a look at practice, comprehension, and immersion in regard to making sure that your foreign language classroom in the Canvas environment is as streamlined and as efficient as possible. And if you're wondering, hold on a minute, Joe, I'm really curious about this. I want to have some resources that I can take away. I do have a more fully fleshed out article that is available for you within the Canvas community underneath the training section. And you can go ahead and access that training section here, and you'll be able to go ahead and find our article. In fact, let me go ahead and show you where you can find that. If you go ahead and click on in the lower left-hand corner that question mark in the circle, go ahead and click on that. And then from there, you can go ahead and choose Ask the Community. Okay. And you can easily just Google Canvas community if that's something that you would rather do as well. Really, we just want to get to the community. And from there, let's hover over Canvas. And we'll go over to additional resources. You can go ahead and click on training. And from here, if you scroll down, the Canvas for the Foreign Language Classroom article is there. If you go ahead and click on that, it goes over not just the material I went through today, but it also does go through some really hands-on concretized steps. So for example, if you have some foreign language instructors that look at this and go, oh man, I really want to implement this, please do feel free to go ahead and share this particular article with them. It does go through the mechanics of how to set this all up. It also does have a few links available for the instructors as well.
Well, Joe, thank you so much. So much of what we have been able to do, I think, on the training side is a testament to you guys' efforts and having you on the live stream and be able to provide some of these sessions. They're some of our most engaging sessions, lots of questions. Folks always have resources to take away and use with them inside their classrooms. Tons of comments of people thanking you for this presentation, as well as just love for the fact that we don't spend a lot of time talking about the differences between what we can do in Canvas for foreign language as opposed to math and English and science. So I love the fact that you've brought that topic here today, and let's do it again soon, man. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, of course. And, Eddie, if you see any ideas there within the comments, if there's anything that you all who are watching would love to be covered in another Canvas live session or really within anything in Canvas, feel free to drop those comments there. I'd love to be able to take a look at them myself. And if a sequel is required, I'd be more than happy to put together something, because I know this is one of those areas that definitely could use the spotlight. And I'm very happy to be a part of that.
Well, we can't wait to have part 2 with Joe Bernard, our Learning Service Specialist, over there on the training team. Thank you so much for providing this great session. As always, everyone, join us next time for the next rendition of all things Canvas Live and the Canvas live streams here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Again, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions or comments, please be sure to have them in the chat. Joe and I will look over with them, try to connect you with somebody that will help you moving forward. Thanks again, Joe.
Yep, of course. Thank you.